a lot of people are mixing all the terms. They're thinking the blockchain can exist by itself. No, the Bitcoin is the best implementation known right now, which is combining blockchain and cannot survive without blockchain. But Bitcoin is only the thing what including everything together. It's economical level, it's technical implementation, it's also solving the social aspects. The Samson Mo was nicely joked about the blockchain. According to city legend, if you saying blockchain 3 times fast, your database will magically become unmutable and your company became a vintage leader. And this is not true, definitely. So blockchain, like a tool, can deliver efficiency only if it used properly. According to UK Treasury report, they evaluate different assets, and maybe it's not very nice visible because of a font, but the banks still containing the highest risks. And if you're looking for cryptocurrencies, they are at the bottom. And the risk is really low. Then the people is calling Bitcoin like fraudulent money. This is not true. Because the Bitcoin, like any money, is just a tool. And the tool is not fraudulent. The criminality is the social aspect. The people are making the things dangerous, or they're making the things the good things. And the same absolutely about the Bitcoin. It absolutely doesn't differ from US dollars. In most of the current crimes, I think US dollars, like a denominative currency, is figuring multiple times. So why the people are trying to blame Bitcoin? In most of the cases, all the financial industry looking on the Bitcoin, they doesn't realize what the Bitcoin is. They are trying to find some analogies from their previous experience. They doesn't understand the Bitcoin. And in most of the cases, like a new thing, it's creating this scarcity. They are scary about the new thing. They doesn't understand what Bitcoin is. And I really like this picture. This picture has a name. It's called scary of electricity. It's fear of electricity. When people doesn't realize what it is, they are scared. On this picture, one of the newspaper was describing like electricity is going to kill our city. It will kill people. All the animals like horses will be killed by electricity. And right now they're absolutely in the same stage with Bitcoin. Most of people doesn't realize what it is. They just invent absolutely new thing, and they are trying to understand what the Bitcoin is. If we're converting physical asset from the electronic form, from a physical form to electronic form, so it changes its nature quite seriously. So comparing for paper, you cannot send the paper at the speed of light. You can send the paper only at the speed of courier. If you're converting the electronic document from the physical form to electronic form, so that's create absolutely new possibilities and providing you absolutely new features. In all the conversion, they has their pros and cons. So, for example, if you have a share of the company and you have made the copy from a paper document, who right now owning the original shares? Then you're creating the copy of the electronic document. It became even more serious because you absolutely cannot discover any difference in the electronic form. And Bitcoin is solving one of these aspects, and it's called the double spend. So, but converting the physical assets, you're getting also a lot of additional features. So it's much easier to process. It's much easier to edit any electronic documents. It's much easier to search the data in electronic form. And like any conversion, so it's also increasing at some points efficiency, but you're getting also some minuses. You're getting some additional features. What is not working, then you're converting the things like one-to-one. And there is no even close compare like one-to-one. Then you're converting something from a physical form to electronic form. It's absolutely different nature. So let's take like an example. If you need to store like 100 kilos of the paper money, how much it will cost for you just to print them? So the paper manufacturing is very energy consuming process. If you would like to protect the money, you also need to add the additional security features. So this also costs the additional money. So you should paint something, you should invent some limitations. And right now, most of the countries, they are printing money using absolutely the same technologies. It's meaning any country, as they like, they can print, they can principally create the money of the other country. Not a lot of people know the history, but the Germany Nazis, so the Hitler, first of all, in end of the 38, 39, they are printing UK British pounds. They break the security aspects of the British money, and they're trying to collapse the British economy. And right now, the paper money, what they're using, they are practically reach the top limit of the physical protection, and they doesn't have any additional features how to protect the money. And it's meaning they should solve somehow this problem. If you'd like to store like 100 kilos of dollar, so how much it will cost for you to provide the physical security? If you would like to send them for 10,000 kilometers, how much it will cost for you and how much energy and resources it will take. And if you're talking about the electronic form, so it's quite easy, and the transfer can also travel at the speed of light. So manufacturing the paper and plastic, I just take the table how much it will cost just to manufacture 1 kilogram of any product. So for wood, for steel, for aluminum, it's taking a lot of kilowatts hour just to produce them. The over 30% of the gold is recycled each year. It's meaning the jewelry and the old coins, the old bars, they are melted once again, and they like issuing or creating the new gold or new bars. It's meaning it's also consuming a lot of electrical energy. It's not forever. So then the financial market looking on the Bitcoin, they also trying to find some analogies, and it's looking mostly like a blind people who are touching the elephant and they trying to realize what it is. So is it the rope? Is it the spear? So is it the tree? So and this happens only because they doesn't have and they doesn't realize what it is. So they are trying to find the analogy using their previous experience, and they are failing on this. If we would like to calculate the Bitcoin market cap, old formula multiplying the price on the amount of the coins is not working anymore because it's not the physical active. So it's working on absolute different basis. Then the Facebook was aiming for IPO. They was also evaluated taking for accounting the amount of users, because the community also adding the additional value for a tool. And the Bitcoin market cap should be also calculated based on the cost of the infrastructure. It should be also calculating the amount of users. It should be also calculating all the businesses and all the investments built on top. It should be calculated also keeping in mind all the advanced features and all the side effects. And only if you're calculating everything together, you can approximately make the assumption about the real cost. Like the Ethereum, like the Bitcoin. So they're providing a lot of additional features. It's not just the coin, and it's not just the infrastructure. Then the people trying to compare the old financial system and all the transaction and the new tools, they also making the quite serious mistake. So if we're talking about the banking transaction, there is one source, one destination, it's one transaction. And if you would like to measure the speed of the transaction, how many transactions you will be able to process, it's one transaction per second. But if we're talking about the Visa, if we're talking about the Master, if we are talking about the SEPA, or if we are talking about the SWIFT transaction, this is absolutely true, but this is not true for a Bitcoin. One transaction in Bitcoin can contain over 50,000 input addresses and over 20,000 output addresses, and it's still one transaction. It's meaning there is no need to perform 2,000 transactions to pay 2,000 invoices. You can pay just by one Bitcoin transaction at once. And it's providing absolutely different dimension. So it's not even close comparable for old system. It's providing absolutely different level. And if you like to compare like Visa and Master, what is typically people are trying to compare Bitcoin and Master Visa. So the Visa and Master, they are not money. They are just the transport. And if you like to compare the similar, find the similar analogy in the Bitcoin, it's Lightning. And Lightning, comparing to Visa and Master, working much faster. Average transaction in this network taking tenths of a seconds. But Lightning functioning at the speed of 1 millisecond. It's meaning it approximately 10,000 times faster, and it's also more efficient and more cheaper. So the typical transaction in the banking environment is also very complicated. So you're just sending the message to bank using different type of communication. It can be fax, it can be phone call, it can be internet banking, and you're asking them to transfer money for you. Just to transfer money, they asking the upper standing bank who are holding corresponding account just to perform the transaction. And this correspondent bank using the SWIFT network, what is mostly messaging system, banking messaging system, they are asking to transfer money on the another bank account, and then it's coming to final destination to your other counterparty. So, but this is a long way, and in some transactions, it can take over 10 days. And during that 10 days, you're not able to control your money. And your party who are dealing with you also not receiving the money. It's meaning if you're performing deal from Europe to China, your money transaction can take over 10 days. During that 10 days, practically both parties is stuck. You doesn't pay for your service or for your goods, and the other party cannot send you anything because it doesn't get the money. And this is seriously freezing and slowing down the economy. The difference between Bitcoin, between transfer-wise, and even between direct payments is also quite huge. So the Bitcoin doesn't have any employees. It doesn't have any offices. And this is why the Bitcoin is also having the lower prices, because it has lower expenses. Normal banking system working 5 days a week, only 8 hours per day. Bitcoin is working 24/7, 365. There is no siestas, no weekends. It's working all the time. And this providing also a huge difference. What the result of efficiency? So on the left side, you can see how the people are making the old style looking jeans. So they are scrapping the jeans, the 6 persons scrapping the jeans. And in result, they are also can corrupt the material. The quality of these jeans is not quite high. This is typically how the China factory who manufacturing the jeans are looking. On the right side, you can see different technology. They're using laser. And it's meaning it's also providing the increase in speed and efficiency and also quality. What the Ford did in the beginning of the century, he was inventing the assembly line. Inventing the assembly line, he was able to increase the quality of manufactured cars. He also increased the productivity, quality, and employees on the manufacturing line was even getting the higher salary. So this innovation drive economy seriously. And there is a term in economy, it's called Kondratiev wave. Kondratiev was a Russian scientist who described what all economy grow up is defined by some innovations, like inventing steam machines, inventing the electricity, inventing the assembly line, inventing the railroads. And I think the same happens right now. We have 50-year stagnation in the economy. Our banking system is corrupted and very slowed down. They need the absolutely different tools just to perform more faster, more better payments. They open the internet shops. They are working 24/7, but they are still not able to pay 24/7. Then you are just swiping your credit card. The normal clearing transaction happens only 2-5 days after. It's not the normal money in the term of payment what we having in our hands, and we should invent something more efficient. And the efficiency is key point here. So the mining was also quite interesting thing. So the evolution of CPU, GPU, FPGA, and ASIC is all about the efficiency. So the concurrency between the miners push them forward quite seriously to optimize and decrease the cost of transaction processing. They're using the ASIC also each day in all our devices. They doesn't realize it, but the ASIC allow us to travel into space. The first satellite was using the also ASIC because they are cheaper to manufacture, and they consuming in thousands of times less energy, and they in thousands of times more efficient. Wi-Fi, GSM models, LTE models in your phones, they also ASICs, and they allow to gain the mass production and gain the better efficiency at the lower cost. So the topical ASIC improvement, even during last year, it's providing the efficiency in times. And at the same time, it's decreasing the electrical energy consumption. And what they're getting right now, because the Bitcoin, like a growing innovation, was developing so fast, the ASIC developers was pushed quite seriously behind the regular industry limits. So BitFury 60nm chip in manufactured in 2016 has per square millimeter over 30 million transistors. Comparing to Intel chip, they have only 15. Apple has only 23, and NVIDIA Pascal have only 25. It's meaning the industry was forcing all the businesses in surrendering to create something more efficient. So the increase of efficiency between the CPU, GPU, FPGA, as you can see, it's also in thousands of times. Starting from 1 megahash per one CPU. So it's right now getting over 2,000 megahashes from one chip. And it's also decreasing the power consumption quite seriously, mostly than 2,000 times. This making Bitcoin also most greenest one. Because the average data center in the Europe consuming, there is power usage efficiency index. It's important index for industry for measuring how much electrical energy was consumed by data center. And it's including all the expenses, including the cooling equipment, including the lighting, including the security and everything. So for a regular data center in Europe, this index is 1.98. It's meaning over 89% is used just to cool the data center, just to provide the light and environment. And only less than 100% is consumed by servers by itself. In the Bitcoin industry, the average PoE index is 1.1. So for a regular data center, the most average data center is consuming 1.9. If it's like best practice data center, it's 1.3, and they are happy if they are reaching this limit. The state of art, some green data center, they have index 1.2. But for a Bitcoin, they're even going behind the limit. They're using the generated heat just to warm and grow up tomatoes. It's meaning the index of consumed electrical energy is even lower behind the zero, behind the 1. So this is like the mining data center is looking right now. So they are really state of art. I know you saw a lot of data center in China, but this is different thing. So the people are making the pictures of most ugliest one. The beautiful data center is well designed. Everything was calculated, how many heat, how the airflow is traveling. And they're making so efficiently to provide the better efficiency for Bitcoin mining. During the time, people less trust for banks. So the green line on upstairs showing the trust for a banking system from 1999 for 2015. And right now it's still continue to going down. So in the late of 70s, a lot of people was seriously trusting for a banking system. Approximately 60% was answering, yes, I'm absolutely trusting for my bank. Right now, the most of the questions are delivering different numbers depending from a country, from 21% till 25% answering, yes, I'm still comfortable and I'm still trusting for my bank and my funds in that bank. But the young people, they are less trusting for a banking system. Right now, the blue bars are showing how the millennial are trusting in the banking system right now. The most of the young people, they doesn't put the money in the bank. They would like to control the money by themselves. And this is also has a political motivation because most of the times the bank was getting the cuts. The keepers was just cutting the funds and the bank accounts of regular people and the companies. The people are losing the money right now. They are less trusting for a bank system. Amount of a fraudulent transaction in the Bitcoin, in the old credit card system is still quite high, and they covering all these expenses from our pocket. And this is why the price for a credit card transaction is very high. So the number is quite slow, but the table on the right side showing how much it will take in days to transfer money in different system. So even for most fastest system, it's taking 2-5 days to process huge amount of payment right now. And some of them, like TransferWise, is just trying to decrease this time till 1-2 days, but still it's days. It's literally not the minutes, and it's literally taking a lot of time. So the contactless payment improving and changes market quite seriously. The yellow bar upstairs showing how showing the growth of contactless payment. Then they start using the contactless payment. And why it happens? Because it's much more efficient and a much faster way how you are paying for all the services. If you're staying on the gas station, there is a couple people are staying behind you, and you would like to buy just a chocolate bar, so and you just counting your mind, so how much it will take to process 5 people who are staying quite behind you. So in most of the cases, you will put the chocolate bar back on the shelf, and it doesn't perform any shopping. So the contactless payment allow to process payment much faster, and the statistics show immediately. Then the Australia just implement the contactless payment, so the amount of the transaction was increased for 92%. Hong Kong show even the higher numbers. So just for 18 months, the contactless payments grow up 3 times. So, and the amount of the contactless payments are continuously, and mobile payment is continuously increasing. On the right side, you can see also the bars of China. So the contactless payment not just improve the amount of the transactions, the contactless payment allow to gain even better turnover. The bars downstairs show how the China increasing the amount of the transaction performance using the contactless payment. The China already stepped into 21st century. They're using QR codes, they're using Alipay, and they're using WeChat to pay for services. And the amount of a banking transaction start seriously decreasing. There is almost like 40% cut during last 3 years. Most of the people are paying on the street for their food using just the mobile phones because it's much easier and much cheaper for them to access. Only 7% of the global population has access for a credit card and banking system. And over 70% of the global population of the planet Earth has the mobile phones. And this sounds really logically just to start using our mobile phones for mobile payments. So if we're talking about the Lightning is changing a lot of things quite seriously. First of all, the transaction is taking 1 millisecond, but it's not about the just micropayment. So it's working absolutely on the different level. You can even transfer $10,000 using the small amounts of the money, splitting them for multiple transactions in less than 1 second time. The Lightning also breaking the granularity of the money. You cannot pay for most of the services less than $1 or less than 1 cent. But in Lightning Network, using the Lightning Network, so you can pay even 100 million part of the cent. And it's meaning you can start pay for smaller services, what was not used like the economy before. Then I was coming 50 years ago for a banking sector, and I was trying to explain what micropayments is opening absolutely different market, and it's allowed to create a lot of services and charge 1, 2, 3 cents for a smaller sales of the services and the goods. So the Lightning right now is opening, I think, even in times bigger amount of economy, bigger sector of the economy. So it changes the nature how they are paying for services. They're getting the TV set subscription because for a TV set company, it's much easier to invoice you once per month. But if you are able to pay by seconds or by minutes, it's meaning you will be able to consume even better services than you like and as you go. For example, your children have birthday party and you're inviting his friends. So normally you're not subscribed for Cartoon Networks, but just because you have the possibility to pay by minutes, you can switch your channel and they can watch their cartoons right now. So, and this solving the problem. You can consume all the content as much as you need. You can pay for articles in the journal by article or by how many pages you read from a book. This is creating absolutely different economy, driving it seriously, and you can also pay for Wi-Fi, what in most of the cases it doesn't doing. If you are sitting in the airport or like on cruise, then it's costing like $24 per day. One of the great examples how the blockchain can solve real cases and decrease the price for some services is one of the implementation of land title registry. Then the land title registry in Georgia was implemented on the blockchain. This allowed to decrease the registration of land title from 3 days to minutes and decrease the price from $50 to $100 per one transaction, per one registration, till approximately 20-40 cents per one single transaction. It's make all the registration immutable. It's make all the registration time locked. You cannot manipulate with any registration backward in time. There is no paper cheating. It's making it more safe, more affordable for people, and also you can also perform the land registration using your mobile phones. So the hash rate is also quite serious thing in the Bitcoin. So the mining is locking transactions, making them irreversible in the blocks. And the hash rate has also correlation to the price of the Bitcoin or any coin or any blockchain active what you have inside. Let's imagine, for example, you have coins in your own blockchain what is costing $1,000. If you have a low hash rate, it doesn't protect your network from the attack. If you're using like mining equipment, only a couple of CPU, which is costing $2, it doesn't protect your asset. And the hash rate in the Bitcoin is working absolutely in the same way. It's working like a natural barrier protecting the Bitcoin capitalization and the cost of the coin from outside attacks. I'm going a little bit out of my time. This will be last slide to be short. So normally this presentation is designed for 1 hour. Right now I'm trying to fit in like 25 minutes. So the last slide showing the ICO, then the ICO was invented in 2017. The green bar on the first month of January showing how much legitimate project was performing using the ICO. Just on the July, the proportion was changed seriously. Only 41% was green, and over 59% was absolute fraudulent. In August, the proportion was changed even more serious, and in the end of the year, the proportion was mostly on a fraudulent project. The ICO is just the tool. It doesn't provide and doesn't solve the real case of the social aspect. It's allowed to collect and raise the funds much faster, but it doesn't make all the projects successful or doesn't make them more efficient and productive. Thank you.